a deadline to either end or extend that policy looms, the futures of millions of migrants hangs in the balance. You can see pieces of the roof falling down and the sun coming through the ceiling in these tents. More than 100 migrants sleep every single night. They're looking for their missing loved ones here in the Sonoran Desert. Over 1,000 migrants are crossing into the Yuma sector every day just like this. And there's other applications for this testing in public health as well as the ag industry. $47,000, that's how much money the Somerton Kookapaw Fire Department says they've spent on emergency calls coming from migrants. Apparent rise in crossing activity seen from the ground here in Yuma being confirmed. Relocate the Yuma County Fair because of planes like this over my left shoulder.
Wiley, thanks. Now to a News 11 exclusive. Across Mexico, many families are looking for their lost loved ones, and tens of thousands are considered missing, including some in cities right across the border from us here in the desert Southwest. One local group in San Luis, Mexico, called Buscando, was gracious enough to allow our Adam Klepp to join them as they search for their loved ones and shared their emotional stories. He brings us this special report on those who are missing in Mexico.
These are 4 women from the group Buscando, which translates to searching in English. They are looking for their missing loved ones here in the Sonoran Desert, where over the last 2 weeks, at least 20 bodies have been found in shallow makeshift graves. On a Friday morning in mid-March, 4 mothers searched the Sonoran Desert. Just a year ago, they'd never met. But now they're united by one goal.
I'm searching for my son. They took him on November 23rd from my house, and I haven't seen him since.
I'm looking for my son. He's been missing for 9 months. He was 28 years old. His birthday was January 11th.
My son went missing July 11th, 2021. It's already been 8 months since he disappeared.
He was a loving son. What can I tell you? I'm his mom. He's my treasure, my baby.
According to the United Nations, in Mexico, over 90,000 people are considered to be missing. The disappearances are mostly tied to organized crime. And as proven in the desert just south of San Luis Rio, Colorado, in the state of Sonora, Mexico, when the missing are found, they're usually not found alive. Over 20 bodies have been discovered by the Buscando team in March. 2 of them were women. Police dogs assist them as they search, but many of the bodies are found by pushing these stakes in the ground, then smelling the tips for the scent of a decomposing body. Even with the recent chilling discoveries, some of these mothers believe their sons will return to them alive.
I always dream he's going to come back fine. My heart tells me that my son is alive, and that's how I feel.
I remember him the way he was. He was fine. He was alive, and I'm hopeful he'll come back the same way. That he'll tell me, "I'm home, Mom," when I see him.
Zulema, the founder of Buscando, says they're grateful for the support they do get, as well as the security for their searches. But it's not enough.
We're in need of various tools and sticks to search. With the heat, we could also use Suero or Gatorade and bottled water. Also gift cards for gas to fill up our car.
Maria Teresa says there is one thing more valuable than materials: information.
I want to again ask, if you know where there are makeshift graves, call us anonymously. We're just trying to find our kids.
While they say searching is difficult, doing it together gives them the strength to keep looking.
In this group, you feel well because you know people. You become familiar with them. They lift my spirits, and I them. Their words of encouragement and strength help me to stay on my feet.
Reporting from San Luis Rio, Colorado, Sonora, Mexico, Adam Klepp, News 11.
Yeah, in December, Mexicali's migrant shelters were overwhelmed with the growing number of asylum seekers. So our Adam Klepp went back to Mexicali and has an update tonight on where things stand.
Mexicali continues to be a temporary home for tens of thousands of migrants before completing their journey to America. In the winter, the local government raced to open shelters. Now in March, many of the migrants have either found jobs and their own housing or crossed into the United States, so now only 2 government shelters remain. This is one of those shelters reserved specifically for women or families. Rosa is one of the migrants living here. She's also 3 months pregnant. She says if this shelter closes, she doesn't know where she would go to get medical care.
Because of the doctor, I'm very worried, because if I have to leave the shelter, I don't know where I'm going to go to the hospital.
The conditions at this government-sponsored shelter aren't as bad compared to the other shelter I visited. Hijo Prodigo does not receive support from the government, and it shows.
Conditions inside the shelter extremely rough. You can see pieces of the roof falling down and the sun coming through the ceiling. In these tents, more than 100 migrants sleep every single night. And to my left is the bathrooms, where there are just 2 toilets to share between all of them. The director of this shelter tells me migrants pay 50 cents a night to sleep here and stay for maybe 2 or 3 days before finally attempting to cross into the United States.
Evidence on the floor in the shelter suggests pigeons also have made Hijo Prodigo a temporary home. The birds even occasionally are caught and cooked by the migrants who stay here. The shelter director says there are no lights in the shelter and it gets extremely hot in the summer months.
Truthfully, we have many problems. We have no electricity.
A dentist in Holtville and members of a Brawley church were at Hijo Prodigo to provide medical services to migrants. Gail Cheatwood says he and many others pulled teeth, gave out eyeglasses, and provided medications.
Yesterday there was a lady that had, her blood pressure was 300 over 160, so they just immediately took her to the hospital.
The shelter has been running for 3 years, and while the conditions inside border on unlivable, it provides an essential service for migrants who would be on the streets otherwise. The shelter director says he does not know how much longer the shelter can continue to operate if there isn't government support.
We have had some instances where there are only 5 or 10 immigrants here, but they don't close it. It'll remain open as long as there are immigrants.
And with the United States on pace to have over 2 million apprehensions at the border this year, the constant flow of migrants through Mexicali doesn't look as if it will slow down anytime soon. Reporting in Mexicali, Adam Klepp, News 11.